Hey guys, so in today's video we're going to be reviewing everything we learned about objects and classes in Java. So we learned that classes are basically blueprints for objects, and we can create instances of the class, and those are called objects. We learned that our class basically has two main parts: doing things and storing information. We do things by writing methods in Java. And a typical method header for a method looks like first your access modifier, either public or private, then the return type, which is a void if you're not going to be returning any value, and then the name of your method. Typically the name of your method is going to be lowercase or camel-cased if there's multiple words in your method, followed by parentheses and then curly braces. You can put parameters inside the parentheses, and what that means is whoever calls your method has to pass in the value. So for example, if we wanted to write a method that converted a human years to dog years for a dog, then we would have a parameter int human years, and the user would pass in how old their dog is in human years, and then we would convert it and return the value. Returning basically means that when you call this method, the calling of that method is going to be equal to whatever value is returned. So like here we see that when we were printing dog1 dot human to dog years, then it actually printed out a number, 4 times 7. So you'll see that it prints out 28. Then we learn about instance fields, which are basically variables to store data, but they're special in that their scope is the entire class, and you have to specify an access modifier. Typically you want your instance fields to be private so that your data is secure. We learned that we can assign values to instance fields through the constructor. And we learned that we can also have final instance fields for things that are going to be unchanging. For example, the number pi could be final because pi will always be 3.141 and so on. Then we learned that when we create an object, it calls the constructor. And the constructor has only two things in the method header: the modifier, which is almost always public, and then the name, which has to match up exactly with the name of your class, followed by any parameters. We then learned about the this keyword, which refers to the class you're in. We also learned that this is how you create a new object, by first specifying the class name, which in this case dog, then the name of your variable where that object reference will be stored, like dog1, equals, and then the new keyword followed by, again, the class name and parentheses, or calling the constructor. And we learned that you can overload methods by having methods that have the same name but have different parameters. And this allows for very dynamic programming. And we learned about the dot notation, that once you create an instance of the class and store it in a variable, you can use that variable to call whatever methods that class has to offer. So we learned quite a bit about creating objects and writing your own custom code. This was a great learning experience. In the next section, we're going to talk about a super important concept in Java known as inheritance. Thanks for joining me.